All right. So I don't know about y'all, but I felt like we were watching a movie. That was such an awesome video Chris and Mr. Kennedy put together. So just to kind of wrap us up with the video before we start in with our questions that you might have for Mr. Kennedy, let's go back into your groups with your class and discuss maybe one or two things that surprised you about the Yeager Airline services, and be ready to, discuss that amongst your group and then report back to the whole group. And then also, if you'd like to come up with a question for Mr. Kennedy, we'll do that after this. So let's take 1 to 2 minutes to discuss that amongst yourselves. Okay, let's start with Capitol High School. What's one thing that surprised you from the video about the Yeager Airport services?
What surprised us was that...
Wait. I gotta unmute you.
We're good.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I can hear him. Yep.
What surprised us was that the private aspect of the airport and what it takes to to get the international status, I guess.
I'm sorry, what was that? To get what kind of status?
The international part, the international airport.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That was wonderful. Yeah, I didn't know really anything about the private airline services either, so that was exciting. And then did you all have a question for Mr. Kennedy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I was wondering what
Sure.
training goes into being an air traffic controller.
What education and training do you need to be an air traffic controller?
To
And
be
to
an
be
air
on the
traffic
runway?
controller, you have a lot of schooling. You have two different directions you can go. You can either go military and be an air traffic controller in the military, which they will teach you from the ground up what you need to know, or you can go to an actual school that offers air traffic controlling. Just to tout Marshall coming up, August the 1st, we are actually opening the Marshall School of Aviation, which will begin to offer air traffic control classes for students that are interested in becoming air traffic controllers. It's a high stress job. It's very, here at Yeager, not so much because we have a little bit of traffic, but if you go to like LaGuardia, LAX, Dallas, Fort Worth, it'll be a little more stressful. It's an exciting job. I've talked to a lot of our controllers and each one of them has said they love it.
And Mr. Kennedy, to get into the Marshall Aviation program, do you just need to, apply to Marshall, go to Marshall and, do that undergraduate degree, or is there a specific aviation school application process you have to go through beyond just applying to Marshall?
Yep, it's a college degree just like any other from Marshall. You apply once you're a senior in high school, you would apply for Marshall. Then you just let them know that is what you want to be your degree in. You want to either, let me see if I can remember, they're offering the air traffic controllers. They are going to offer pilot training. Future endeavor is mechanics training. Anybody that's interested in aviation mechanics. The main line will be aviation administration. They will literally teach you the ins and outs of being management and running an airport.
Okay, awesome. That's really exciting. So that program will be beginning this coming August, you said, right?
That's correct.
August of 2021.
We're handing them their keys on the 1st of August.
Very exciting.
That's with us in the operations department. He has already started his first year at Marshall, and he will be one of the first students at the School of Aviation once the doors open up.
That's awesome. Yeah, great question. And if that's something you're interested in, definitely look into the Marshall program. All right, let's move to Herbert Hoover. What was something that you found most interesting or surprised you the most about the Yeager Airport services?
The fact that like the wildlife aspect of it, I like that would be needed. I didn't know that was that played such a big role in it. And it's crazy to think that they have trained professional, they train dogs and stuff to holes in the fences and just wildlife. It's really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I wanted to work with Hercules too. And then did you have a question for Mr. Kennedy?
So if you're an employee at Yeager Airport and you like buy a plane ticket, is there discounts?
Sadly, for airport employees, no. But if you actually go to work for one of the airlines, they offer free flying for their employees. And after you're with them, one of your retirement benefits, and I believe it's 10 years minimum for service, you get free flights for life. Now, in saying that, it's not you just hop on a plane and go where you want to go. You fly what they call non-rev, which means there's no revenue that the aircraft is getting. If there is an open seat and you have the ability to fly where you're wanting to go, then you get to fly for free. We've had airline employees that have gone overseas. Yeah, the big hot spots, Rome, Italy, France, you name it, they've gone to it. We get pictures back from them. We at the airport are actually very jealous of our airline counterparts.
Yeah, I would be too. Yeah, great question, y'all. All right, awesome. St. Albans, what surprised you the most about the Yeager Airport services?
So we also thought it was interesting that they use a dog to keep like the other wildlife out. We didn't realize that wildlife played such a big part in flying. So that's what we also thought the same thing. And we also have a question.
Okay, so let me start with my question by explaining why I'm asking this question. So, like if you're like in beauty school and before you go to cut on somebody's real hair, you want to cut on a mannequin's hair, right? So you don't mess up like that person's hair. So how do people that are learning how to fly an airplane, how do they like practice?
That's actually a pretty good question. You start off in a small aircraft over at the GA. You have an instructor with you. You have, and I'm no pilot by any means. This is probably a question for our intern, Ben. He actually graduated from GW last year, and he is already a pilot licensed to fly. So just a year or two older than you all, he's already got his pilot's license. But you start off in a classroom just like you're in now. You learn the basics of aeronautics. You learn the basics of the aircraft. And then once that, it's kind of like driving school. Once you get those down pat, they put you in an aircraft with an instructor. The instructor takes off, shows you the basics of how to fly the aircraft, and then the instructor lands. And as you build your proficiency with the aircraft in the air, they start to let you take off and let you land until you get to a point where you do what's called a solo. The solo is actually part of your driving test. So you're actually in the aircraft by yourself and you take off, you fly around for about an hour, hour and a half, and then you land the aircraft on your own. And then if you're interested in becoming a commercial pilot, once you get your private pilot's license, you can go to class to become a commercial pilot and fly the bigger aircraft.
Awesome. That was a great question, y'all. Do we have any final questions for Mr. Kennedy? Anyone can pipe in if they have a question. It looks like Miss Brindley does.
Grian has a question.
Is there any like restrictions on where like you can't like get your pilot's license? Like I have glasses, so like is that like a restriction to like you have to have certain vision or anything like that?
No, there's now in the military, they do have a vision requirement, but that's because you're in a fighter jet or a helicopter and you're in an area where you might not, if you drop your glasses, you might be an issue. But for a private pilot, no, there's no issues with having glasses or corrective lenses. There is a physical that you have to go through, but most of that is like, do you have heart issues? Some people with certain types of diabetes are restricted on how big of an aircraft they can fly simply because you're thousands of feet in the air and they don't want you to have an issue.